Okay, we're starting Be'ezrat Hashem. What are we going to play today? Oh, yeah. You surprise me every time. Every time it's a surprise.
We're on time. We can start.
We're starting right now. I just turned it on. The sushi, if you want. Beautiful Nigunim from Reb Shlomo. Okay, so I don't know if anybody's watching yet, but whoever's Katie's said she's going to watch in the future. And my mother's in Costa Rica, and Yael and Shana Batsheva and Avital and everybody, David, everybody that watches afterwards. Shalom Aleichem, and of course Taria and Meira. Which I'm just waiting for the time when you don't show up so I can give my speech that I'm going to keep teaching the class even if no one shows up. Oh, this was the only cup there, so if you want to drink, go in the closet, and get some more cups. Get some sushi before they take it, if you want. Oh, yeah, I wasn't hungry, but I can't say no to sushi. So I had to eat a few pieces. Okay, so we're continuing in this lesson, which it's just, you feel like a very long, dense, intense lesson. Thinking maybe next week I'll skip over a little bit of it, and after this stick with some smaller Torahs, because it's taken quite a long time to get through this Torah. When I first started learning it, I didn't think it was such a big deal, but now that it's been so long, feels like, okay. So where we left off last week, we were talking about, I'll just read over here the introduction to the section Vav. After he clarified that you have to be connected to a very big rabbi, that can enclose the supernal intellect, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about trying to grasp Hashem. So here, my daughter Eliana, who I've mentioned, I end up homeschooling her. Like she just asked me questions to them. So this morning she said, my friends and I, how can it be that Hashem knows the future? Because if Hashem knows the future, then I don't have free will. So if I decide to do a transgression, Hashem knows. If I decide to do a mitzvah, Hashem knows. So you had this discussion?
No, not yet.
Okay. So I once asked this question to Reb Shalom. Reb Shalom was my teacher. I have his picture on the wall. I wrote a book about him. I think Arya has the book. Oh, you read the book? Okay. So I asked him this question. He said, Hashem's name is Haya, Hoveh, V'yeh, B'oto Zman. Was, is, and will be all at the same time. So my daughter says, I don't understand that. So I said, okay, you can be in two at the same time. You can be in the present and the past. What did you eat yesterday? She said, okay. And I said, you're in the present and you're thinking about the past. So you're in two places at the same time. What are you going to do in 5 minutes? So you're in the present and the future, but you can't be all three of them at the same time. But for Hashem, He's outside of time. For us, time is linear, but for Hashem, He's outside of time. So for Hashem, the future happened, but you didn't decide what you were going to do yet in the future. But it already happened for Hashem. So she said, this is too confusing, I don't understand it. So that's a good analogy for this lesson, because that's what Rabbi Nachman is trying to say, is we can only get so close to understanding Hashem. But we're not going to totally understand Hashem, because we are living within Hashem's vacant space, the Chalal HaPanui, and this space is meant to be a laboratory of free will. That's really what this world is about, where our soul is brought into this world to make choices. It's called Olam HaSiyah, the world of action, but it's really Olam HaBchira, the world of choosing. And so in order to come closer to Hashem, we want to try to grasp Hashem as best we can. And whatever we get, we get. And whatever we don't, we'll get hopefully in the future. So that's what he's saying here. You have to have a great rabbi, and we can consider Rabbi Nachman a great rabbi, that can enclose the supernal intellect, that's asagot elokut, that's Hashem, into our intellect. So the more we can understand Hashem, we're taking Hashem, which is the supernal intellect, Shalom Aleichem to David, and we're bringing it into our lower level intellect. This is the hairs and the contractions, which is the passages that we brought from the Zohar before. The Zohar basically said the only way that you can understand Hashem is you're going to have dark spaces and you're going to have roundabout spaces. And that he called black curly hair in the Zohar. V'chein be'erin, then he explained, shetzarich la'alot et malchut beragalim. We elevate malchut, which is the lowest of the sfirot, which is related to many things which we're going to talk about here. Last week I gave the example of malchut is like the soil. The soil has nutrients, but it doesn't give off anything on its own. Kadesha malchut tikeben chiyut me'or hapanim. So that malchut will receive the light of the face, meaning that malchut, which is the lowest level, will receive Hashem's light, which is the highest level. Yeve'er Atana is going to explain shehayot ve'chiyot shekol hadvarim shebe'olam hi mechochmatata, that since everything, all of the life force, all the vitality in this world, and everything that we understand in this world comes from the lower level of intellect, which is Sfirat HaMalchut, which is the attribute of Malchut. Kshemit Rabim Chas v'Shalom Chataim, when we increase in doing, God forbid, transgressions, Noferet HaMalchut legalut, and Malchut ends up being exiled. Mechimat she'asitra chra yoneket mimena yoter midai, because the negative energy draws too much sustenance from it. Yeve'er kitzad nuchal lahafrid velachtoch amalchut kedusha mimena vela'alota. Now he's going to explain how we separate and cut off the malchut of holiness from the malchut of non-holiness and elevate it. So that's what he's talking about here. And then we talked about, last week we were talking about Avraham Avinu. And he was saying that how does a person elevate malchut? By doing acts of chesed, by doing acts of kindness. And now we're going to continue with Avraham Avinu. And also one of the things with Avraham Avinu was that it was Moshe, it was Avram. It was Avram that saved the king of Sdom. So the king of Sdom, it was Sdom? Or was it Shechem? I don't remember what it was. Where it was? Sdom. It was king of Sdom. And he said, I'll give you everything. I'll give you all my wealth. And Avraham said, no, I'm not going to take one shoelace. I'm not going to take anything, so that you won't be able to say that you made me wealthy. Okay. Ki amu b'Gemara, it says in the Gemara in Masechet Brachot, Avraham tikein shacharit. That you should see it there. You see, Ki Avraham tikein shacharit. We're in the middle of Vav. Avraham established the davening of shacharit in the morning. The kavanah pnimit shel sfirat malchut. You see what it is? Before that, it would be velo tomar ani heshauti et Avram. That would be before, and then the next paragraph should be ki Avraham tiken shacharit. Avraham established the morning davening, and the internal meaning behind establishing That the Shachrit is Sfirat HaMalchut, is the attribute of Malchut. Shetiken et Pchinat Shacharut Hanal. What did davening in the morning do? It fixed the blackness, the barrier that's preventing us from connecting Hashem. Shia Ashchina, Shene'amar ba, Shchora ani v'nava. That it's the Shechina, and it said about the Shechina in Shir HaShirim, I am black, but I am beautiful. You ever see those T-shirts? When I was in high school, at least half the high school was black. So kids would wear T-shirts, black and beautiful, or black but beautiful. I don't remember what it said. I probably wanted to have a T-shirt, Jewish and beautiful. I was constantly pushing back against the subcultures in the high school, getting in trouble. It's kind of a funny thing. Like in typing class. We had a typing class with 50 typewriters. Can you imagine? They were like electric typewriters, so you could, the whole table would shake. And the teacher was black, and we had to type something. So we had Black Awareness Month. So for the whole month, we had to write about Black Americans. But then it ended, and we just kept writing about Black Americans. And I said to her, when are we going to write about Jewish Americans? She said, what did Jews ever do? So I said, well, you heard of Albert Einstein? Did he ever do anything? She's like, yeah, he was Jewish, so get back to typing. So I photocopied 50 papers about Albert Einstein. I put it on everyone's desk before the teacher came in. She sent me to the principal for that. I didn't think that was such a bad thing, you know. It was kind of a funny thing. Okay, so Shchora ani v'nava. I'm black and I am beautiful. That's the Shechina, meaning that the Shechina is saying, yes, I'm in exile. I'm covered in the mud of Jews being distant from me, but still I'm beautiful. Shehu b'chinat hasechel hatachton anal. That is the lower level intellect, as we mentioned above. The b'chinat chokhmatata, the lower level of understanding. Shehu b'chinat shacharut kanal, which is connected to blackness, as mentioned above. She keshem she'ashachor ba'ayin metzamtzem et koach hariyah. This is the Ote Or adding it. Just like the pupil in the eye, which is the black part of the eye, contracts the light in order for a person to see, kedei lirot etev, in order for a person to see well, kach hasechel tachton metzamtzem tasechel elyon. So too the lower level intellect contracts the upper level intellect. So in order for us to try to understand Hashem, we're always going to have to bring Hashem down to something that we can grasp. So we talk about Hashem's anger, we talk about Hashem's love. Hashem doesn't really have anger and love, but the way we understand it is anger and love. And it says that Hashem is a jealous God, that He protects the Jewish people, that He cares about the Jewish people. All of these things are true, but they're coming through the lens of our interpretation of understanding Hashem. You know, we have Avinu Malkeinu, we say Hashem, our Father, and we try to look at Hashem as a parent, a loving parent. Some people don't have loving parents. As a good parent. As a good parent that did a good job raising us. And that when we turn to Hashem, so these are all, we turn to Hashem, Hashem is there for us. So these are all things that are doing exactly what He said here. We're taking the lower level intellect and contracting the higher level intellect in order for us to understand something. Kadei sheyuchlu lasigo, so that we can understand something, to grasp something. Umevo'ar od, and it's explained further, shezochim letaken b'chinat zot, and when a person merits to fix this aspect, shel shacharut, of the darkness, how does a person do it? Al yedei soneh veta, by hating the desire for money, not money itself, kanal, as mentioned above, which I mention in every class. Not hating money, although he says v'lachen matzina, and then we found she'Avraham sana et mamon ve'kanal, that Avraham hated money, as mentioned above. Now, I was listening. I don't know if I mentioned this last week. I was listening to a lesson from Reb Shalom, and he talked about this miser, and he said the miser doesn't want to give away his money because he doesn't feel that the money is really his. And he talked about people that he met that have trust funds. So, they become 21, they get $10 million that their grandfather left them or whatever. And he said, those are the people that are the most insecure because they believe that everyone's coming to steal their money. And they also never worked a day in their life, and they're scared that if they don't have money, they're going to die. He said, but a person that earned the money or worked for the money, they're not scared to give it away because they know that the money doesn't own them, they own the money, and so they can give away something that they own. But when a person is enslaved to the money, then they're scared for anybody to touch their money, take their money. They're scared all the time. So that's what it means, soneh betza, that you're not attached to the money. You're not a slave to the money. Because if you're a slave to the money, in a sense, it's a type of idol worship. You can't really become close to Hashem if money is your God. And it can be even a person externally can look like a tzaddik, but internally, money is their God, meaning that they only really respect people that have money. They feel that money can take care of all their problems. Instead of turning to Hashem, they just take their money and go to the best doctors, and they never even say a verse of Tehillim, hoping that the doctor will be the shaliach of Hashem, the messenger of Hashem. So that's when money becomes God. So in order to really understand God, you really need to have money. You need to have a lot of money, but not be attached to the money. That's the ultimate level. And that's the level of Avraham. That's what the example he's giving here. And that's why he's bringing this and saying, Avraham, here he was so wealthy, had all this money, but still he wasn't attached to the money. And that was one of the things that enabled him to come so close to Hashem. V'al ken shetiken Avraham et malchut. So when Avraham fixed his attribute of malchut, al yedei she'asa chesed v'hichnia et arba'at hamelachim desitra achra, when he did kindness and he subjugated the 4 kings of the negative energy. Now this is how Rabbi Nachman builds these lessons. They're intertwined with many different concepts, and it makes it hard to see it clearly. We had the 4 exiles. You remember what they are, Aryeh?
Yavan, Bavel, Rome, and Mitzrayim.
And Midian. What was Midian? Bavel was Midian. Okay, shkoch. So we had the 4 exiles. Those relate to the 4 kings, and there's the 4 kings somewhere that Abraham met and conquered and whatever. And now this is really interesting. And so Avraham is fixing all these things. Gam zacha le chokhmatata. He also merited to have this lower level of wisdom. Shaya soneh betza, that he hated the desire for money. V'lachen yatsa me'Avraham. And so therefore, these children came out of Avraham. Yitzchak v'Yishmael, Yaakov v'Esav. We have Yitzchak and Yishmael, which are 2 opposites. And we have Yaakov and Esav, which are 2 opposites. One is, in general, positive, the other negative. El is here. In God we trust. On the dollar bill, she says. Shehem b'chinat, that they are the attribute of hamuva'at ba'agadah shel Pesach, that it's brought in the Haggadah Pesach, keneged arba vanim dibra Torah. The Torah spoke about 4 different types of sons. Echad chacham, ve'echad rasha, ve'echad tam, ve'echad sheino yodea lishol. We have the wise son, we have the wicked son. We have the simple son, and we have the son that doesn't know how to ask. And we were actually talking about this morning in my chavuta. Rav Chesed should be healthy. B'ezrat Hashem efosh nemata Aaron ben Chana Liba. And everybody needs a refuah. So I forgot what we were learning in the lesson, but it reminded me of how does it say? Heked shanav. Knock his teeth out. That's what it says in the Haggadah regarding the wicked son, that you should knock his teeth out. So I know this from Shlomo Karlbach, because Reb Shalom would teach this lesson. He'd say, do you think Hashem really wants us to knock the teeth out of the Rasha, out of the evil child? He said, you go and you knock his teeth out, he'll never want to come back. It means that you have to knock the shin of Hashem's name, shin, dalid, and Yud, you have to knock the shin back into him. You have to give him such an inspirational Jewish experience that he'll wake up and he won't want to be the Rasha anymore. So we have the four sons. And now he's going to explain how the four sons relate to the lesson. Shem keneged arba malchuyot shebekdusha. They're compared to the four holy kingdoms. Kayadua, as it's known, b'divrei Harizal, in the teachings of the Arizal. You know all the teachings of the Arizal, so of course you know this, are you? Umekivan she'Avraham zacha lebchinat hamalchut, since Avraham merited the level of malchut, v'malchut kolelet b'tocha et arba malchuyot shebekdusha, and malchut includes with it the four kingships of holiness, shel arba'at ha'olamot, which are connected to the four worlds, atzilut, bria, yetzira, v'asiya. These are the four supernal worlds where, of course, reaching Hashem goes infinitely. But there is some aspect that tzaddikim, like the Arizal and the Baal Shem Tov and people on that level, can reach the world of Atzilut. That's the highest they can reach spiritually in this world. Beyond that is impossible. All of us are, I'm just talking for myself, I guess, are in the lowest of the worlds, Asiya. I've never gone up to Yetzira or Bria or Atzilut, at least consciously, maybe somewhere in my dreams. So we have these four worlds where Hashem's energy is more revealed in the higher worlds, less revealed in the lower worlds. Ki b'chol echad mehem yeshna sfirat malchut pratit shelo. So each of them has their level of malchut. So if we look at the chart here, malchut at the bottom, keter's on the top. The four worlds would go here, and then you would just take this and put this on top of this world, and take it and put it on top of the next world. Each of them has all the 10 sfirot in that particular world, and they're drawing down. So Malchut, which is the lowest, is coming down to Keter of the world below it, and then Malchut to Keter, the world below that. Shebechol echad mehem yeshna sfirat Malchut pratit shelo. Each of them has its own personal sfirot and has Malchut. Lachen zecha Avraham sheyatza mimenu arba vanim, and that's why these four sons came out of Avraham. Shem keneged arba malchuyot kedusha, that they're connected to the four holy kingships. Omnam ma'alat ha'av gadla al ma'alat habanim, although the level of the father is greater than the level of the children, liot b'chinat sechel elyon, regarding being connected to Hashem, an understanding of Hashem. Shalom to Alice and to Mata Esther. V'zeu haseder shel arba malchuyot kedusha, and this is the order of the four kingships of holiness. Yitzchak zebechinat ben chacham. Yitzchak connects to the wise son. Ki Yitzchak. So now what Rabbi Nachman is doing here is he's proving his point, and we're going to go to the end of this section, and that's where we're going to stop tonight. So Yitzchak is the wise son. Ki Yitzchak al shem hatzchok v'asimcha, because Yitzchak was named after the laughing and the joy. B'chinat katuv, as it's written in Mishlei, ben chacham yismach av. When a father has a wise son, it gives him a lot of pleasure. I see that with my oldest grandson, who's 2. He happens to be this very smart kid. It's really amazing. He remembers everyone's names. He remembers everything. And my daughter, Adel, she gets such pleasure from him. She finally sent him to Gan, and the Ganenet's name is Claudia. So these 1.5 and 2-year-old kids can't say Claudia, so they say, oh, whatever they say. He says, Claudia, Claudia. And Adel says, I don't feel like the Ganenet really appreciates how smart my son is. But then the next day she said, I never had a kid actually pronounce my name. So that's the meaning here. I see my daughter with the pleasure, really she gets such pleasure from seeing her son, Baruch Hashem, also us, but all the more so her. So that's Ben Chacham Yismach Av. Here it says father, but I'm sure his father as well. Harei she'asimcha ba'a al yedei chokhmah. Where does the joy come about? It comes through understanding, wisdom. V'kivan sheYitzchak hu an shem hasimcha, and since Yitzchak was named for joy, b'vadai hu ben chacham, then for sure he's got to be a wise son. V'hu keneged malchut shebe'olam ha'atzilut, and he's connected to the world, the highest world, Atzilut. Esav hu ben rasha. Esav is the evil son. Kamo shekatuv ki tomar Edom roshashnu v'chulei v'karu lehem gvul resha. Not completely clear what this means. They said about Edom. Edom was the name for Rome and also for Esav, that we became impoverished, and they said that this was like the limit of evil. There's whatever the exact connection is, it's just a proof to say that evil and Edom, which is Esav, this is the text proof for that. Shehu keneged malchut shebe'olam ha'asiyah. This is connected to this world, the world of Asiyah. Shu koach ha'azut nitzlach lemalchut dekdusha. That this is the power of chutzpah that was saved for the malchut of holiness in this world. I guess that's really kind of hard to understand. I'm guessing the meaning is that in this world you can really turn your back against Hashem, and that's something in the higher worlds when Hashem's presence is more revealed, you wouldn't be able to do that. So in the United States, they have pictures of the president in government offices, I'm guessing. In Russia, it must be like everywhere. I mean,
my school is just pretty actually.
Yeah, had to be. I remember years ago, my mother and I went to Jordan in 1994 or 1995, right after they signed the peace agreement with Jordan. She was like, "Oh, let's go to Jordan." I said, "I don't know if that's such a good idea." I didn't have a beard at the time. I tucked in my tzitziot, and I always wore this Mickey Mouse hat, because I always had this theory nobody's going to stab Mickey Mouse. Well, nobody stabbed Mickey Mouse, but I don't know if it was because of that. So I remember walking in, we were in Amman, just like in a normal place, and people started shouting, "Yahud! Yahud!" And they come over to me. Some people spoke to me in Hebrew, some people spoke to me in English. Like, "Oh, you're Israeli? We don't like Israelis. We don't like Jews. Get out of here." Now, it was an interesting trip. But why am I bringing this up? Because everywhere you went, every store, every hotel, every tourist site, they all had the picture of the King of Jordan. So, now, what did I want to say with that? That in this world, now remember, thank God, you can make fun of the king when it's just his picture. But when the king is actually standing there, you don't make fun of the king. So that's the azut in this world. That's the audacity, the chutzpah that we can have in this world regarding Hashem. Hashem is completely hidden in this world, because in order for this world to work, Hashem can't be revealed. Otherwise, we would lose our free will. So Hashem is hidden. And so we can make fun of Hashem, and we can deny Hashem, and somebody can get tattoos and commit suicide and do everything against Hashem that a person could possibly do, and say, "I don't believe in it," and Hashem goes along with it. But that's the azut that's saved for this world. Yaakov hu ben tam. Yaakov is the innocent son, the simple son. K'moshe Ketuv, as is written, v'Yaakov ish tam. Yaakov was, here it means that he was tam, complete, but it's the same word. V'hu keneged malchut shebe'olam habriyah. So he's connected to the malchut and the world of Bria. So all of the four sons are the malchut of that particular world. Yishmael ubchinat ben sheino yodea lishol. And Yishmael is the son that doesn't know how to ask. Ki Yishmael asat tshuva. And I love this. So you would think, okay, Ishmael, he's like he's the Arab, he's the Muslim, he's the real goy. So we're going to say he's the one that doesn't know how to ask anything. But then Rabbi Nachman says, no, Yishmael, he did tshuva. Kamosha Amu Abotenu Zechonam V'chaz, says your blessed memory said in Baba Batra, V'ikar hatshuva he b'bchinat sheino yodea lishol. What is the highest level of tshuva? That a person reaches the place where they don't know how to ask. Hainu la'asot tshuva ולשאול כפרה מהשם יתברך על שאינם יודעים, שזה עיקר התשובה. When we reach the highest level of tshuva, we're asking Hashem to forgive us for things that we don't even know that we did. For transgressions that we don't even know that we did. We did them, we don't even know that we know. We've reached we've done tshuva on everything. Now all that's left is say, Hashem, and by the way, I'm sure I did things that I don't remember, I don't even know about. Please forgive me for that as well. Hainu la'asot tshuva, that's what I just read here. Shezei ikar tshuva. B'chinat ha'keduv, as is written in Tehillim, Asher lo gazanti az ashiv. Things that I did, whatever I didn't steal, I still have to return. Meaning that I did a transgression, I didn't know that I did a transgression, but still I need to do tshuva on it. Ki tzarich lashuv b'tshuva, gam al ma she'eino yodea shegazal. A person has to do tshuva even on that which they did not know that they stole. Still meaning from Hashem. Ve'atam hu, or I guess it could also be in this world, that you stole something, stole a person's time, stole a person's money, you didn't realize you still have to do tshuva on it. Ve'atam hu, and the reason is, ki al yedei chataim pogmam b'pchinat malchut. Because of our transgressions, we damage our personal malchut. Ve'az mistalek o hada'at ve'chochma elyon, and then the light of the supernal wisdom and da'at and awareness of Hashem is taken out of us, is exiled from us. She'eino ma'ir b'shleimut b'chinat malchut. We don't shine completely the attribute of malchut that's within us. She b'chinat klal mitzvot Torah, that is connected to the aspect of all of the mitzvot of the Torah. V'al yedei zeh yitachen she'adam yachteh v'lo yedeh klal shechata. And because of this, a person can transgress and not even know that they transgressed. V'lachen tzarich la'asot tshuva al hadvrim she'inam yoduim lo. And so a person has to do tshuva even for the things that that person is not aware of. V'yishmael hu keneged malchut shebe'olam yetzira, and Yishmael is connected to the world of Yetzira. Shezeh b'chinat Avraham tiken shacharit. This is connected to Avraham established the davening in the morning shacharit. V'amilah shacharit hu notrikon rashi tevot, and the word shacharit is an acrostic for chacham, rasha, tam, ve'sheino yodea. There's the chet, resh, taf, and shin. The wise one, the evil one, the innocent one, the one that doesn't know how to ask. Shehem alba malchuyot. These are the four kingships Canaan is mentioned above. Ki Avraham tiken b'chinat chochmatata. Avraham fixed this lower level of understanding Hashem. How did he do it? He did it through chesed. And we know that in Sdom, you weren't allowed to do chesed. If a person helped another person, they killed him. And so Avraham does the opposite. And by Avraham doing the opposite, that's how he overcame the four kingdoms, and that's also how he brought Hashem's wisdom into the lower level wisdom. Now we just take it for granted. You know, what kind of jerk wouldn't help a person that needs help? We're already trained in that. But in a world where really everyone just takes what they want and does what they want, that concept is foreign. It even goes against nature. That was what the argument of the Nazis, Yimach Shemam. They said that we are barbarians, and barbarians have to murder and steal and rape. So just allow us to be that animal that we are. We are real barbarians. That was their philosophy. I think they got it from Nietzsche. Shehi b'chinat v'chlalut kol hadalad malchuyot kedusha. That this is the aspect of including all of the four kingships into holiness. V'lechen, therefore, Hem kulam rozmot b'tevat shacharit. They're all hinted at in the word shacharit in the morning prayer. Sheken hi kolelet et kulam. That includes everything. Ki hem nikraot dalad banim. They're called after the four sons. Not sure what that is. Bet nun husfirat hamalchut. I guess maybe. No, I'm not sure what that is. It's the attribute of Malchut. V'dalad banim heim alba malchuyot kedusha. And the four sons are the four kingships of holiness. Sheken, shekol olam me'olamot, atzila, bria, yetzira, v'asiya, yeshnam malchut kedusha. All of the world have their own malchut, the kedusha, at the bottom. I think that was very intense. I don't know about you. So I'm going to see if I can summarize next time and maybe move us forward a little bit more out of the thick denseness of this lesson. Till, of course, we're going to get to who is it that has all the parables? You remember, Aryeh? No, the rabbi that he always brings. What was it? Oh, it was Rabbi Yeshua ben Chanina. There was forgot his name. Anyhow, there's this rabbi that every time he had like these mystical teachings. You know, remember we had like a frog that was so big that you could live off of its eye for 60 years, and its tongue ate a whole village, and like all these crazy stories. And he uses the stories and explains the Torah behind them because they're all hidden in there. Okay, so next week on Sunday is Baba Sali's yahrzeit. And so this week on my podcast, I have 2 stories about Baba Sali, and I figured I'd tell another one here just to prepare for the yahrzeit. Baba Sali, this guy was really something. He did open miracles. And I mentioned on the podcast, last year I said at the Kiddush at Mayanot, I really need some more Baba Sali stories. And so somebody says to me, a good friend of mine, he says, I have a book of Baba Sali stories. Someone gave it to me years ago, I never even opened the book. I don't need it, you can have it. So he gave me the book, and I haven't opened it for a year. It's sat on my shelf for a year. It's from 1986. Wasn't opened once. There's it's so new that it cracks when you open it. And I thought, wow, how amazing that the Baba Sali is on such a high level that he makes sure that this book, that's not printed anymore, you can't even find it anywhere, gets in the hands of somebody who has a podcast with many thousands of people listening every week. So I thought that was amazing. It's also lots of good stories in there. So here's one of the stories. Before I opened the book, I was looking on my phone. And it's interesting, in the book they call him Baba Sali. Other people say the Baba Sali. But in Baba Sali's book, they write, and it makes sense, Baba Sali, because Baba is, like rabbi. You wouldn't say the Rabbi Aryeh, you would say Rabbi Aryeh. Okay, Baba Sali was feeling weak, and even though he insisted that he was fine, his family said, you have to go to the hospital, we need to get you to a checkup. So apparently they went to Soroka Hospital in Beersheba, and they wanted to speak to the head of the department, because they did all the tests, and all the tests were fine. And, they were concerned about Baba Sali. The family was concerned, so they brought the head of the department. They said, it doesn't make sense that he's fine because he was suffering before. How can the test not say anything? So Baba Sali always drank tea with 6 teaspoons of sugar. And he offered the last sip of the tea to the head of the department, who was very excited to have the segula of drinking the last sip of tea from the Baba Sali's tea. And he was shocked when he drank it. He said, we didn't test for diabetes. For sure, your problem is you have diabetes. How can you drink this all the time, all the sugar? And he said, no, I'm looking at the test here. We didn't check you for diabetes. So Baba Sali says to him, I don't have diabetes, but you do. And the doctor says, that's impossible. I just did a test recently. I don't have diabetes. There's no way. Baba Sali said, I don't have diabetes, but you do. So they agreed to take the test at the same time. And the results showed exactly what Baba Sali said, that the doctor had diabetes and Baba Sali was just fine. The doctor didn't believe the results, so he did the test another time, and the test came back with the same results. So Baba Sali said to him, do you want to be healthy? And he said, yes, very much. So then he requested that his assistant make him another cup of tea with his usual 6 teaspoons of sugar. He took 1 sip from it, and then he said to the doctor, now you drink the rest. And the doctor freaked out, and he said, how can I drink that tea? For me, I have diabetes. It's poison for me. It's dangerous. Baba Sali said, drink it and be healthy. So the tzaddik insisted, so the doctor did what the tzaddik said, and he drank the cup of tea. Baba Sali said, now do the test again. and you'll see that you're completely healthy. He did the test on the doctor again, and now the test came back negative with healthy blood sugars, and the doctor did not understand what was going on. He said, how can this be? I had diabetes, I drank all this sugar. Now my blood sugar, after drinking all the sugar, is down? It doesn't make any sense. And Baba Sali said, no, that when Hashem wants you to heal, then even sugar that caused the diabetes can now be used to heal. And remember that the creator of the world is the healer. You have to ask him to make the treatment successful, and never forget that the creator who created nature can change nature at will and do what you never expected. And that's the big test of the doctors. Nobody should ever have to go to a doctor. I have a friend who's a surgeon. I remember the first time somebody died on his surgical table, and how he was devastated. He was just depressed, and I never saw him like that. So I said to him, what's going on? He said, I killed somebody. I murdered somebody. So I said, do you heal people? He said, absolutely. That's what I do. I'm a doctor. I said, no, you don't heal and you don't kill. You do your best, and Hashem heals and Hashem kills. And Hashem takes. That's your test as a doctor. Even though you have all this power and you actually cut people and remove parts and do kind of crazy things, you have to remember that it's Hashem who's in charge. That's the test. Was that Hashem? Okay. Shukach to the two of you for sticking it out, and everybody else. Lots of people joined us today. But Hashem. La 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 la.